Do you mind if we smoke this blunt outside? Cause it's nice out and we can get high. So y'all mind if I do this memo outside? Cause it's nice out and I'm trying to vibe. Yo, I'm talking, it's the wild card. I'm talking about the spirit of the Heyoka spirit. Or the archetype of the Heyoka. The Heyoka is known to the indigenous Americans, and it represents the Joker. You know, you always see it depicted as a clown, but in Batman, when you have the Joker literally is the archetype and the personification of what this spirit is, the Heyoka spirit, the Heyoka energy. It's to say energy instead of spirit, because spirit is breath. So it ain't the Heyoka breath per se, but it's the energy, it's the archetype. And the Heyoka archetype can get misunderstood and misconstrued based off of the one-dimensional lens in which we put it through. We can look at the Joker as being somebody that's anti-society and anti-culture. But that doesn't mean that the Joker itself, if it's anti, doesn't mean that it's destructive. Here's why. If we're living in a society in which the predominant ways of being is destructive, in which most people are getting inebriated under some kind of substances, whether it's tobacco, whether it's alcohol, whether it's weed, whether it's pills, whether it's food, whether it's porn. Ooh, it's a nice cardinal. It's a bright red cardinal too. Wow. But the Heyoka, in that sense, would represent the deviation from all of those things. So in a society in which everyone is getting inebriated, the Heyoka is sober, because the Heyoka represents counter culture. So we live in a culture now where culture itself has degraded. We see the celebrities, from the Abercrombie and Finch guy to the P. Diddy's of the world, to the Epsteins, and to everyone else that you heard about in pop culture. You see what's happening in the different places in the world in which there's a lot of corruption going on. In a society like this, in which they're gouging up prices to get people to put in more and more work because they seen that people was finding alternative ways to make money. They seen that people was investing more. They say that people was being more thrifty. So because people's behaviors and spending habits started to increase and their financial literacy began to increase, they increased the cost of everyday living in order to keep people trapped enough that they would never truly become financially free, and they would always need to go to their 9-to-5 job or always need to produce in order for society to go on. I spoke about this in a previous memo. Money is here as an incentive. The moment everyone becomes rich is the moment where money is no longer as valuable as it was when everyone else doesn't have money. So that's the first understanding, that you have to understand that memo and to continue to understand the rest of these messages that I'm going to put out, right? So in a society where all of that's happening, where the men is acting like women is acting like men, where there's no morals, no values, in a society in which this is going on, what the Joker represents, what the Heyoka represents, is deviating from that chaos and coming into order. Where there is no discipline, the Joker is going to be disciplined. Where there is no sobriety, the Joker will be sober. Where there is no freedom, the Joker will be free. Where there's no discipline, the Joker will be disciplined. This is the understanding when I'm saying the wild card. Because a lot of these things were systematically put in place to keep people trapped and to keep people down. You have to understand this. These are weapons of warfare. The war's on your mind. The war's on your hormones. The war's on your spirit. works on your respiratory system, endocrine system, musculoskeletal system, your nervous system. It's coming through your eyes. What are you seeing on the internet? Everybody wants to be a joker. And when I mean a joker, I mean a jokester. Yes, to say that, my bad. Because nobody want to be the joker. Nobody wants to be the person that's going to be a little bit more disciplined. That's going to be a little bit more sober. That's going to break through from the control systems. Not to create a system in which leisure and pleasure dominates the day. No, because that's the system that we live in now. I promise you, if you like pleasure, if you like leisure, succeed in the world. Like, my goodness, if you want to drink, you drink. If you want to smoke, you smokes. If you want to fornicate, if you want to masturbate, if you want to do all that stuff, yo, this is the world for you, G. The pure deviance. Discipline isn't necessary. As long as you're willing to show up to somebody's institution to put in some kind of work. You can even go high. You can go drunk. You could be at work getting it in. Who knows? Who cares? Because that's not the point in which I'm trying to come through. That's not the point I'm trying to make. The point I'm making is the Heyoka spirit doesn't necessarily represent chaos. The Heyoka spirit represents the opposite of society, the opposite of the norm. And since normalcy is degeneracy in this era, the Heyoka represents the opposite of degeneracy. Not really sure of a word for it. I guess generacy. Right? So this is the misunderstood aspect of the Heyoka. This is the misunderstood aspect of what I represent as the wild card. I'm the wild card because while everyone else is sober, while everyone else is inebriated, I'm going to be sober. But here's the kicker. I'm going to be maneuvering around the world, not parading around that I'm sober. While everyone else is trapped, I'm going to be free. Here's the kicker. I'm going to be maneuvering around the world as if I'm just anybody. So the spell that gets put on everyone else to keep them asleep, I'm going to be wide awake. I liken it to, a person coming in, Derrick Rose told this story, I believe. It was maybe Derrick Rose or somebody. And he said where he was in a place and somebody shot up the place, right? So in order for him to survive, he had to sit there and lay and play like he was dead. So when the gunmen came around to look for any survivors, he looked like he was dead. So they passed over him because he looked like he was dead. And that saved his life. If he was to try to be moving around trying to say, I'm alive, I'm the hero, and he tried to stop shit, he would have got capped up. But because he blended in with the environment, even though he was not the environment, because he blended in, he was able to escape. You understand? So it's this kind of understanding of where you have to truly blend in order to stand out. You have to blend in to stand out. That's the modern Heyoka. It's the blending in to stand out. If you see me out in public, you will not know who I am. You will not know my philosophies because I don't wear them on my sleeves. What is over here trying to do? So it's not about going out and parading around with clown masks on. It's not about going out and preaching that people should get sober and people should do this. No, it's not about going around doing any of that. It's about literally blending in seamlessly. So everyone is open and free to communicate freely and to act how they act around you. So you'll be able to properly gauge, properly understand, and properly diagnose every situation that you're in, because no one is going to close up to you. You might have a person that's a pastor or whatever, some kind of religious person or some straight edge person, and they're always preaching sobriety and all this extra nonsense and get back to this and chastity and all this stupid stuff. Once you wear that on your garment, people are going to know how to correct it and orient their behavior around you. So they're going to put on a mask to exist around you. And you're going to be believing that everyone around you is believing and following your philosophy and your doctrine. But simply, they're just aware of who you are, and they don't want to deal with the backlash. They don't want to be judged, so they put on a mask. It's allowing people to be maskless around you. Because in that space, you know the truth, and you get to see the truth, and you can observe, and that gives you the upper hand. This is why we want to maintain order within what everything is. That's the wild card. Maintain order. If you know how everyone behaves, you know how everyone acts, you know how everyone responds, you can literally become the puppeteer instead of the puppet. It's the wild card.